Alright, I just wanted to take this moment to actually thank all of you guys, all my viewers, all my subscribers, and all the people that nominated me for my 3 different categories that we have for the upcoming 2017 YouTube Awards, for Warhammer YouTuber Awards. And I just wanted to thank you guys for nominating for my 3 categories, which is called Best Battle Reporter, Best Ninth Age Content, Best Age of Sigmar Content. I was actually surprised I got nominated for so many categories. I didn't want any, but that was cool though, because I just imagined that. Like, I never would imagine that once I started this channel that I'd actually be up there and getting nominated with videos and being up there. It's kind of nice seeing that, and I just want to thank you guys for all of you who voted for me and all of you who basically nominated me for this award. It was a huge honor. Never in my wildest dreams I'd ever think that my channel or my content would get to that level. So yeah, you guys are the reason why I'm doing this. You guys are the reason why these videos are so good, and just love it back and forth and all the input, you guys. So once again, thank you for the nominations, and let's get on with the battle report. Alright, Nation, welcome to the show. We show you how to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and this is Age of the Realms Battle Report number 15 for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. It is a 2,000-point match battle between myself and my Wyld and Sylvaneth army versus my buddy Fresh Prince Belair, the Silvery Horse of Kalador, with his Aelves army. And once again, this is after the holidays, you guys. Took a nice little break there. Went to go visit some friends and some family, celebrate the New Year's abroad. It was really awesome. And once again, thank you again for all the nominations and the support and the votes you guys sent for me for the 2016 Warhammer YouTubers Award. I mean, that was just really awesome, you guys, and I definitely appreciate it. So with that out of the way, let's go to move on to the rest of the battle report of this one. Let's see what happens at 2,000 points of Sylvaneth, go up to 2,000 points of High Elves. Alright, let's talk about my army, the Wyld Hunt. It's a 2,000-point Sylvaneth army. For my leaders, I have Coadel the Willow Lord. He's a Tree Lord Ancient with the Gift of Garan command trait, Rhinu's Lamentiri, which is his artifact, and the Tree Song Deepwood Lore spell. Next comes Durthu, Eldest Ancients. He's a Spirit of Durthu, and he's equipped with the Oaken Armor. For my battle line units, we have 3 of them. We have the Court of Seasons, which are 20 Dryads with the Branch Nymph, the Court of Tides, or 10 Dryads with the Branch Nymph, and the Court of Heralds, which is 5 Tree Revenants with the Scion, Standard Bearer, and Waypipes. For my other units, we have the Troop of Dawn, which is 3 Kurnoth Hunters with the Huntmaster, Kurnoth Greatbow, the Troop of Dusk, which are 3 Kurnoth Hunters with the Huntmaster and Kurnoth Greatbows, and the Troop of Twilight, which is 3 Kurnoth Hunters with Huntmaster and Greatbows. From our Behemoths, we have Sternbark the Harrower. He's my Tree Lord. And from a battalion on this one, we have the Free Spirit Battalion for this army, and that rounds up my 2,000-point list for this one. Alright, so let's talk about my opponent's list. This is Fresh Prince Belair's the Silvery Host of Kalador. It is a 2,000-point High Elves army. For his leaders, he has Tyrion, the Defender of Ulthuan, and Teclis, the Lore Master of Ulthuan. So he's got those 2 special characters leading his army on this one. Next we have Archmage Titus Laenel. He is a High Elf Battle Mage. For his battle line units, he has Lord Tyrion's Retinue, which is 5 Silverhelm Knights with High Helm, Standard Bearer, and Hornblower, and Archmage Laenel's Retinue, which is also another unit of 5 Silverhelm Knights with High Helm, Standard Bearer, and Hornblower. He's also got the Evergreen Rangers, which are 5 Valerian Reavers, and the Roan Rangers, which are 5 Valerian Reavers. For his units, he has the Everwardens, which are 20 Phoenix Guards, the Keeper of the Flame, Standard Bearer, as well as a Drummer. The Griffin Guard, which are 10 Lothern Sea Guards, with Sea Master, Standard Bearer, and Hornblower. And the Eagle Guard, which are 10 Lothern Sea Guards, with Sea Master, Standard Bearer, and Hornblower. And massively rounding up the rest of his army, he's got his artillery choice. He has the Reins of Kalador, which are 2 repeating bolt throwers. And that will make up his army for this one. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for deployments. You can see we're playing on a 4x6 table on this part. The terrain's kind of sparse in this one. You didn't roll very high for the amount of terrain on this one. On the far left corner there, that big, colorful bushiness, that's in the left-hand corner of the board. That's actually where I set up my Sylvaneth Wildwood for my army on that one. I decided to use 2 set pieces because of the new FAQ rules. I also got Sylvaneth Wildwoods located in the upper left-hand corner, the upper right-hand corner, and also in the bottom center corner as well. The way my buddies and I, we roll terrain is that we roll for each set quadrant of the table, and then we get to choose what kind of terrain goes there. So I'm Sylvaneth. I'm going to put Sylvaneth Wildwoods. As you see, we also got a farm with a new silo. We also got constructed ruins and also a hill. So let's go down into the individual deployment zones for this one. Alright, so here's my deployment for my left flank. All I have there, as you can see, I have Coadel the Willow Lord. He's my Tree Lord Ancient, located right back in the back of that Sylvaneth Wildwood. And right in front of him, I have my Court of Heralds, or my 5 Tree Revenants as well. So the rest of my army is journeying along the Spirit Paths, getting ready to deploy at a later time. So yeah, that's pretty much what my deployment is. You can see that I got that huge wall of High Elves located on the other side of the board. So let's go ahead and talk about the High Elf deployment on this one. Alright, so here's the High Elves left flank. You can see that he's got his Evergreen Rangers located right there on the other side there on the left-hand side next to that Sylvaneth Wildwood, preventing my guys from going in there, so that's kind of rough. Right next to him, you have also Lord Tyrion's Retinue, which are Silverhelm Knights with Tyrion located there as well. And then right next to him to the right-hand side there, you got the Griffin Guard, which is those 10 Lothern Sea Guards. So that makes the deployment on the left-hand side. Alright, for a center deployment right next to those ruins there, you can see there he's basically got his 2 units of, he's got his two Reigns of Caldor, which is two repeater bolt throwers located in the back there. In the center of that building, also, you also have Teclis, the Lord Massive Ultimate, and that guy's a vicious spellcaster. He's located right there, and then right in front of him, you got a huge unit of 20 Phoenix Guard located right in front of him, kind of protecting him. And then flanking that unit on either side are 2 units of 10 Lothar Seeker. You have the Eagle, the Griffin Guard on the left, as well as the Eagle Guard on the right-hand side. Also, right next to the Eagle Guard on the right-hand side, you also have Archmage Tytos Laenel, as well as Archmage Tytos Laenel's retinue, which is another 5 silver helms located there on the right-hand side. So that makes up his center line on this portion. And making up his deployment on the very far right-hand side, you got the Rowan Rangers. Those are those Illyrian Reavers located right in front of the other Sylvaneth Wildwood as well. So he's basically got those two flanking Sylvaneth Wildwoods on lockdown that part. So that's kind of rough. But, you know, that's just the way it is. That's just smart playing. So, yeah, with deployment out of the way, we go directly to the top of battle round number 1. Alright, so this is turn number 1 for the Sylvaneth after the movement as well as the hero phases. As you can see in this picture, basically, I just kind of like deployed another set of Sylvaneth Wildwoods right between the two Sylvaneth Wildwoods I have in the back rank, and I got that little cluster right there in the center. Now, for those of you guys are wondering how to deploy Sylvaneth Wildwoods, because the FAQ, I can no longer daisy chain in my Sylvaneth Wildwoods into long lines like that, and so some people were asking me before, like, how am I going to get around doing that? Basically, the best way to do it is just kind of clustering it. Like you see in that area there, you have two Sylvaneth Wildwoods kind of like next to each other, kind of like making like a line, and you tuck the third one right behind them, making it kind of like a link, so that way they're all kind of within 1 inch of each other, and at the same time you can lengthen your force and still get a good line on that part. So as you can see, that's how basically I did with my deployments, how I did for that part. As you also see there, I also deployed some of my other forces as well. As you can see there, I have Sternbark as the hero is located on the left-hand side, got him located in that center force. I also got my Court of Seasons on the center portion there with the front of the Sylvaneth Wildwood, kind of taking a cover position there to intercept anything that comes charging my way. And on the right-hand side between the two Sylvaneth Wildwoods, which is that huge log one, as well as the forest I summoned, I have my Court of Tides located there to kind of secure the right-hand flank as well. I also use Coedel's teleportation ability from the route on their own gate routes to pop up right in the middle of the woods as well, so that way we can kind of start taking cover saves and getting that line set up for combat. So yeah, I'm not in any rush to go charging my enemy. He's got to come to me, and that's pretty much how I'm playing it for this part. So yeah, that makes up movement as well as hero phase on this part. And since there's no charging, shooting, or combat, or battle shock, basically go to the top of turn number 1 for the high elves with the command phase. You can see here Tyrion starts locating out his Defender Ultimate command ability, starts giving his +2 bravery to all his bravery to all units within 24 inches of his guys. So that way, if they take any wounds, they don't have to worry about battle shock tests too much. And high elves, they're really hard to kind of break in the battle shock phase because they got such good bravery and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of hard to break those guys. So yeah, that makes a command phase on this one. In the movement phase, everything just pretty much comes up within his center lines, as you can see there. As you can see in the back, however, he also kept his Illyrian Reavers in both corners there to kind of keep those guys, those Sylvaneth Wildwoods, from my being able to teleport in there, which is fine with me because I don't plan on splitting my forces on this one. I just pretty much plan on staying right there in the center and making him come to me and have just basically fight the entire bulwark of my army, which is going to make a real big grind fest. But that's the only way I can think about defeating these high elves, because if I spread my forces too much, it won't be any good for me. As you can see there in the center there, he's deployed all of his troops marching forward as quickly as he possibly can. He's got his Silver Helms hitting the flanks. He's got his Phoenix Guard in the center. He's got his Lothar Sea Guard securing the sides there as well. He's also moved up Tyrion as well as Teclis as well. So it's going to be kind of brutal here in a little bit. So yeah, that makes a move phase for this part. Alright, in the shooting phase, I got off kind of lucky. All I ended up losing was just one Dryad, as you can see right there. There's a little lone photo of that part. He opened up with his bolt throwers onto Coadil, tried to take him out, but luckily because of cover saves, I was able to like dodge all those wounds that were coming my way as well, so that part was kind of nice as well. As Lothar Seeker tried to open up, but because of also those cover saves as well, my Dryads were able to survive most of the blows. So because of that, pretty eventful for me. So since there's no charging, close combat, or battle shock for the High Elves, we go directly to the top of turn number 2, and we roll for initiative on that one. So, Fresh Prince Bel-Air and I roll for initiative, and I happen to win the initiative on this part, so that's pretty nice. This is the top of turn number 2 after the command phase. As you can see there on the right-hand side, what I decided to do is sum up another series of Sylvaneth Wildwoods between the log Sylvaneth Wildwood, the bright-colored log one, and the hill as well, so that I have kind of like this nice little line of clumps of different Sylvaneth Wildwoods to kind of like to put my troops in there and all to deploy in the area as well. I also cast my Deepwood Lore spell, the Tree Song spell, to move up that Sylvaneth Wildwoods that's behind me and move them up closer as well to kind of secure my left flank a little bit better as well. And inside that unit, I also got my quarter heralds, which are my 5 tree revenants, also moving into that area as well. So that kind of helped me out with getting those guys kind of shortened as well. Like I said before, the best way to kind of like create a line of Sylvaneth Wildwoods in this game without having to like put them end on end is to create like that kind of like 3 structure that I have, as you see in this photo. So yeah, pretty much planning on defending against most of the attacks coming my way. So that makes up command phase on this one, and move on to the movement phase. Here's a close-up of that Sylvaneth wildwood that I sent between the hill as well as a log Sylvaneth wildwood, just to give you the idea of how you should kind of deploy your Sylvaneth wildwoods in that way. So that way you have 2 up in the front, 1 in the back, kind of like that kind of triangular formation. So that way you still get the length of a line of Sylvaneth wildwoods, but at the same time staying with the intent of the frequently asked questions that the Games Workshop has delivered as well. So another solution you could also do as well is just deploy 2 Sylvaneth wildwoods at a time. That's another way I also recommend it as well. Don't put 3 bases, just put 2 right next to each other. You can also create a line that way too if you want to as well. But and that third one adds that depth that you need to deploy units inside of them, and that's why I like doing it that way. So yeah, if anybody's got questions about how to play Sylvaneth Wildwoods, this is the best way I found to do it. And yeah, so if you play Sylvaneth, do it this way. All right, in the movement phase, I bring the rest of my army in as well. I bring in my Free Spirits Battalion, as you can see on the right-hand side, and then newly summoned Sylvaneth Wildwood. I deploy Durthu, the Eldest of Ancient, which is my Spirit Durthu. I also deploy my 3 troops of Dawn, Dusk, as well as Twilight, my 3 Karnath Hunters of Great Bows, to kind of secure my right-hand flank there as well. I also, as you can see, you can kind of see on the left-hand side there, I also deploy my Quarter Heralds and my 5 Tree Revenants into the back corner area there in order to get to those Bloat Thorns and try to take those guys out as quickly as possible. So yeah, that makes up movement on this side of the board. Here's a close-up of my Free Spirits Battalion being located right there, that newly summoned up Sylvaneth Wildwood. About to bring the pain there on those Phoenix Guard, have all 3 of those units open up fire on those guys here in a little bit. Plus I got Durthu there, and he's just going to make a mincemeat of anything that comes charging that way. And here's a close of my Tree Revenants, kind of in that really awkward, weird kind of position. The reason why they're so kind of awkwardly placed is because the way my opponent has laid out his troops here in his back ranks is the back half of the board. As you see there, you got those Living Rears next to that Sylvaneth Wildwood. He's also got those Bolt Throwers there as well. I can't get within 9 inches of them, so they kind of put me in this weird kind of awkward position right there in the center part, so I really can't take advantage of that too well. Plus, when they move, they can't move again or charge the next one. Charge phase, they have to stay 9 inches away. Don't think I can make that charge. I'm going to try to long bomb it, but we'll see how that works out. Alright, in the shooting phase, I just opened up everything that I basically have. The only thing I was able to do is put a wound onto one of that unit of Silverhelm Knights, Lord Tyrion's retinue with Sternbark the Harrower. He opened up with his Strangle Roots match to pull off one of those kind of guys as well. Most of my fire, however, went to the middle of that section there with those Phoenix Guards. You see that I pretty much killed 7 of those guys with all the combined fire from my Karnath Hunters as well as Durthu as well. Its Phoenix Guard in Age of Sigmar are still a hard nut to crack, even if they have really good armor saves. They also have that 4 ward save, kind of that special save they get like they used to have back in 8th edition of Warhammer. Still a really tough unit, but I managed to cut that guys down to a pretty healthy size and kind of give my Dryads kind of like a fighting chance on that part. So I feel pretty good about the shooting phase on that part. And since there's not really much going on for the rest of my army, we go to top of turn number 2 for the High Elves in the command phase. You can see in this photo here, Tyrion starts casting, Teclis starts casting off some of those spells that he has. First of all, he casts the Shield of Sapphire spell. He basically gets to use any spell of any other High Elf mages within 18 inches of him. And since Archmage Tytos right now, which is the guy there on the horse there on the right of him, to the right of him, on the left-hand side of that Silverhelm unit, basically got to use that spell as well and kind of cast on himself to give himself additional save, just because he knows I'm going to be trying to shoot at him with my Karnath Hunters if he doesn't. So that makes a command on this side of the board. At the same time, he also casts Arcane Bolt onto Coadil as well, manages to plink off a wound on him, which is kind of sad as well. It could have been a lot worse. He could have gotten 3 wounds off of him, and since I got the Gifted Garan, I'm not really too worried because I also heal D3 wounds every hero phase as well. But, it's still kind of an annoyance thing. It's kind of a pride thing for me, so that's what's going on in this picture here. And in this photo, Teclis, as he casts 3 spells per each of his phases, casts the Tempest spell onto Durthu, which is also kind of rough as well. He gets to manage to get off a mortal wound on that guy, puts 1 wound on Durthu as well. Also halves the amount of movement he can do as well as charging as well, so that part is kind of rough as well, which is kind of sad about. But that's just the way it is. Not much you can really do about that. Plus, I also got Durthu's teleportation abilities that I can rely on to make him travel along the realm routes through different Sylvaneth Wildwoods, so I could still use that if I have to. But, like I said, it's a pride thing. In the movement phase, an entire tidal wave of high elves just move up as quickly as they possibly can, as well. As you can see there in the back ranks there, he moves his Illyrian Reavers out of those Sylvaneth Wildwoods, which you realize I fully committed all my troops, and that's kind of nice. And so if I ever wanted to deploy anybody into the Sylvaneth Wildwoods, I still could. Probably not going to because I don't want to divide my forces, but, still kind of nice to see at the same time. As you can see, there's whole main center line from his Silverhelms to his Phoenix Guard to his Lothern Sea Guard. They just all move forward as quickly as possible, getting them good distances from the charge-ins. So yeah, that makes a boom on this side of the board. Also, here's a close-up of his Illyrian Reavers in the upper left-hand corner of his board. He turns those guys around, have them start moving towards my 5 tree revenants, which is kind of rough because those guys are really deadly when it comes to shooting. They can shoot 3 inches, 3 times if they're not within 3 inches of an enemy. So, you know, not too good-looking things are not looking good for my quarter heralds on this part. So yeah, that makes it moving on this corner. And here's a close-up of all of his center forces, his Silverhelm Knights, as well as Lothern Sea Guard, as well as his Phoenix Guard getting ready to charge into my Court of Seasons. So yeah, that's about to bring the pain here in a second. And here's a close-up of his second unit of Silverhelm Knights with his Archmage, as well as Illyrian Reavers, as well as his other unit of Lothern Sea Guard, getting ready to charge here on my right-hand flank. And that's going to be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. In the shooting phase, those Illyrian Reavers just gut my unit of Court of Heralds. They managed to kill 4 of those tree revenants like it's nobody's business, and that part was kind of rough right there. All those other guys I do now is just kind of charging now and finish off the lone survivor that pretty much made on that part. So that was pretty brutal. And in the shooting phase, Fresh Prince Bel-Air's bolt throwers managed to plink off 3 more wounds off of Coadil as well, and that part was kind of sad as well. I'm starting to think now that taking my Deepwood Lore spell for a Tree Song was a bad idea. I probably should have brought the Regrowth spell, so that way he can start healing himself up. But then again, he does have the Gift of Garon, so maybe not. I don't know. I just hate seeing my Treemen take wounds. It just bothers me every single time it happens. So yeah. Anyways, that takes place with shooting over here in the center portion of the board. And as Illyrian Reavers on the right-hand side of the board, the Roan Rangers open up on my unit of the Troop of Dawn right there and manage to plink off 1 wound off of one of my Treekin. I'm not really too worried about it because each of my, not sorry, my Treekin, my Kurnoth Hunters. I'm not too worried about it though because each Kurnoth Hunters carries 5 wounds, so not too worried about that, but still, pride. In the charge phase, as you can see here, pretty much everything within his center line kind of makes it. Almost all of his unit basically charges in. His Silverhelms with Tyrion charging to my Court of Seasons. His Lothern Sea Guard, the Griffin Guard charging to my Court of Seasons. His Phoenix Guard charging to my Court of Seasons as well. On the right hand side, the Roan Rangers as well as Archmage Titos Lionel and Archmage Lord Archmage Titos' retinue of Silverhelms also charging to the right hand side as well. As you can see in the back there too, those Illyrian Reavers, the Evergreen Rangers charging to my one remaining Tree Revenant as well. So yeah, pretty much everything makes its charge for the most part, and combat's gonna be kind of brutal here in a second. Here's a close-up of the Everqueen's Rangers going to finish off my lone surviving Tree Revenant, and that's just kind of sad. And here's a closer Fresh Prince Bel-Air's Silverhelm Knights, Tyrion, the Griffin Guard, as well as the remaining of his Phoenix Guard charging directly into my Court of Seasons. This is going to be kind of a brutal combat. However, I am kind of lucky because I do have cover saves. I do get -1 to hit against me because I'm inside the cover. I get a +1 to my save as well. Plus, it's a pretty big unit of Dryads, so I get bonus to my save, and I also get the +1 to hit. So we'll see how the combat kind of goes on that part. So it's kind of rough there. Here's a close-up on the charges going on the right-hand side. You can see that you got Archmage Titos Lanel. He charges into my Court of Tides to keep that 10-man unit Dryads from flanking his Phoenix Guard on the next turn. So you got that going on over there. He's also got his Silverhelm Knights, his retinue, charging indirectly into my Troop of Dusk, which is my 3 Kurnoth Hunters in front of them. So that makes it the charges here kind of like in the center of my lines. And here's a picture of his Roan Rangers charging to my Troop of Dawn as well. So that way they're kind of glowed in close combat with that part as well. So that pretty much makes it the charges for this one. And with charges out of the way, we go directly into the combat phase. All right, this is the photo after the combat phase as well as the battle shock phase here for my center line. As you can see there, he pretty much gutted the unit of the Court of Seasons with all the combined attacks he basically has left and cut that unit kind of in half. I got about 5 Dryads on the right-hand side facing down those Phoenix Guard. And I also got about 6 Dryads facing down the Silverhelm Knights as well as Lord Tyrion as well. I managed to kill off a couple of guys from the Lothern Sea Guard, managed to kill a few Phoenix Guards as well as 1 Silverhelm Knights. So, doing pretty good there as well. Plus, I also have my Tree Man Sternbark to kind of bring up the center there as well as Codil if I need to commit into combat as well. So not too worried on that part. Over here in the center of my lines, my Court of Tides just butchered that Archmage, managed to just wipe that guy off the table, so that's not too bad. I'm planning on taking my Court of Tides and also having them charge directly into the right-hand flank of those Phoenix Guards to kind of get them in a double development as well to lend some support to my Court of Seasons on that part. So that makes the combat here in the center portion of my lines. As you can see in this photo, the Kurnoth Hunters basically don't take a single wound for their trouble. My troop at Dusk is still doing pretty good. We managed to kill one of those Silver Helms as well. Kurnoth Hunters equipped with great bows don't exactly have the greatest combat ability when it comes to close combat. Aside from their stomps, where they can kind of pull off a mortal wound, that's pretty much all they got. They made more for long range combat, really, for those guys. And I did that so that way they get two attacks, one in the shooting phase, one in the close combat phase. I mean, I guess I could switch up to melee weapons, but that long range firepower is just too impressive to give up, though. On the far right hand side here, however, that fight between the Illyrian Reavers as the Roan Rangers versus my troop of Dawn did not go very well for my opponent. Basically killed half that unit. They didn't manage to put a single wound onto any of my Kurnoth Hunters. So that part was kind of cool as well. So yeah, that makes a comment on this side of the board. All right, the top of turn three, both First Pencil and I rolled for the initiative. I went for the initiative on this part, and this is the photo that takes place after the command phase. As you can see, there's not much really happened in the command phase, really. Not Durthu. Kurodo managed to heal up 3 of his wounds with the Gifted Garan because he's inside of the Sylvaneth Wildwood, so that kind of helped him on that part. Dropped him all the way back down to only having 1 wound remaining on him now, so that's kind of nice as well. And because of that, basically we just start moving directly to the movement phase because not much command is going on. Don't need to summon up any more Sylvaneth Wildwoods. I'm pretty good where we're at. We're just gonna have to grind through now in the combat phase. I'm sorry, I also managed to cast a spell. I forgot about that. I managed to cast Arcane Bolt with Coadil. Managed to plink off a wound off of Tyrion. I forgot to bring that part as well. So that part was kind of nice. So that basically just happened. In the movement phase, I just pretty much committed all my forces that I had left, kind of moving up my Court of Tides here to the right-hand flank of this Phoenix Guard to kind of get those guys in double development as well. I also move up the Sternbark the Harrower to kind of get within 3 inches. That way you can charge directly into that unit of Lothar Seaguard, so that way you can start bringing the pain on that side. So that's what movement here in the center portion of my lines. As you see here on my right hand flank, I start moving my Kurnoth Hunters into position. As you can see, I start getting those Silver Helms kind of surrounded by both my troop of Dusk, as well as my troop of Twilight. I also move up Durthu as well to get him kind of a position so that way he can charge directly into anything that comes his way as well. So basically just getting everything kind of set up for my next charging phase so that way I can get directly into combat and just start wiping the walls with these guys. In the shooting phase, my Kurnoth Hunters open up on Checklist and manage to kill that guy and put that guy down on the ground. That guy's DRT. So that part was actually kind of cool as well. That spellcaster was starting to annoy me. Want to make sure that that guy was gone on that part, so we shot him to pieces with my Kurnoth Great Bows. And that is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, I equip my Kurnoth Great Hunters with Great Bows. The remainder of my forces also concentrate far onto Tyrion as well. We managed to kill that guy. However, because he has that Heart of Valerial, which basically the Everqueen, which basically if he rolls a d6, as long as he rolls a 2 up, Tyrion basically comes back to life with all of his wounds back remaining on that part. The last time I fought against Fresh Prince Bel-Air, he rolled a 1 the last time I fought on him on that one, so Tyrion died, and that basically won me the battle in that last battle. For this one, however, he did roll a 5 on this part, so Tyrion does come back with all of his wounds again, and that's just kind of rough. But the nice part is when I get to kill him again this time, he'll stay dead for sure this time, so that's kind of nice. All right, in the charge phase, you can see here, I just basically send into Sternbark the Harrower. I just have him charge directly into the right hand side there of Tyrion because he's planning on taking that guy out as best of his abilities as well. As you see in the right hand side there too, I also move up my Court of Tides to kind of get the Phoenix Guard into double development as well. I also charge in Durthu. He crashes in the front of the Phoenix Guard as well, so that way he can start bringing the pain. And I'm looking forward to watching Durthu just drink the tears of Phoenix Guards. So that part's gonna be kind of cool there. So that takes a pair of charges here in the center portion of my lines. And as you can see in this photo as well, I was also kind of charged in my troop of Twilight as well as my troop of Dusk to get that unit of Silver Helms into a double pincer attack as well. So that part's kind of nice as well. I plan on finishing those guys and then having my Kurnoth Hunters concentrate that unit of Lothar Seaguard that's in front of them. So yeah, that makes them charge in this one, and with charges over, go directly into the combat phase. All right, this is a photo after the combat as well as the battle shock phase, and it was a fight for the ages, as you can see in this picture here. We managed to kill another Sylvaneth Knight with my Stryads. I also managed to wipe out the rest of those Lothar Seaguard as well. However, Tyrion managed to put 4 wounds onto Sternbark, the Harrower, my Tree Lords. That was kind of rough as well. But then again, it is Tyrion. He is designed for close combat craziness, and so not much more to be said about that part. So that part was kind of rough. However, the true slaughter took place over here on the right-hand side of the lines there between Durthu and the Court of Tides attacks. We managed to kill almost all the Phoenix Guard down to 4 guys. All that's basically left back as well. And this kind of gives you an idea how tough Phoenix Guard really are when it comes to close combat and their ability to stay alive. I mean, Durthu couldn't even manage to wipe this unit out as well. And Durthu is a freaking beast. That guy just eats units for breakfast, kills lords for lunch, and just devours monsters for dinner. So this guy is a one-man wrecking team. Not even he could destroy an entire unit of Phoenix Guard by himself. That's how tough Phoenix Guard really are. It just reminds me about how terrifying it would be if you had an army that you went up against just made up primarily of Phoenix Guard. How terrifying that would absolutely be on that part. But anyways, it was kind of nice on that part. Took some minimal casualties in return for my guys, so things are kind of looking up. As you can see on this side of the board as well, the fight between my two units of Kurnoth Hunters versus the Sylvaneth Knights is really no contest. We didn't break a sweat too much. We just managed to kill those guys and just managed to wipe out those Sylvaneth like it was nobody's business. So that part was kind of nice. In my troop of Dawn, Kurnoth Hunters managed to finish off the rest of those Illyrian Reavers. They managed to put another wound onto one of my Kurnoth Hunters, so that guy's carrying now 2 wounds. But like I said before, these guys are carrying 5 wounds apiece, so it's not much of a big deal on that part. Like basically, each one of these Kurnoth Hunters could be seen like their own little miniature heroes. Basically, what they are like, because these guys have like 5 wounds, 4 up saves, good long range combat ability, good close up combat ability to stomp, also reinforce themselves with additional armor save as well. If they decide to go with like an impenetrable thicket type of thing, so I love Kurnoth Hunters. Love these guys every day. We'll take them every single day in my army, no matter what happens. All right, so this is the bottom turn number 3 for the high elves after the command phase as well as the move phase. You can see there, pretty much he starts committing everything that he's got left over for his forces. He brings the Everqueen's Rangers as quickly as he can to start laying some support fire. He also moves up his Lothar Seaguard on the right hand side, his Eagle Guard, trying to put them in the committed him as well, and try to do some fighting on that part as well. So yeah, pretty brutal on this part of going on here. From that point onward, not really much left over to do, but to wipe out whatever's left over. Shooting phase is pretty much a wash for my opponent, so we go directly into the charging phase. You can see in this picture here, he sends the rest of his Eagle Guard, Lothar, and Sea Guard, charging right into the back end of my quarter ties right there. So that part's kind of rough, getting those guys kind of stuck in a pincer attack. However, he just kind of does that in article and some support for the remaining Phoenix Guard are left over. So that's charging here on this side of the board. And in the combat phase, it pretty much was pretty much down to Sternbark the Harrower as well as the rest of his forces. As you see, we managed to wipe out the rest of the Griffin Guard as well as the rest of the Silverhelm Knights as well. Most of the fight between most of my Dryads mainly died in this portion of the battlefield as well, so that part was kind of sad. The quarter seasons are pretty much no more on this war. I managed to put 4 wounds onto Tyrion by the end of the combat got done. He managed to put another 2 more on top of him, so killing Sternbark halfway, so that's pretty rough there. In fact, I'm going to have to send some support going from Durthu going towards Tyrion in order to save Sternbark if he wants to survive this battle. So yeah, that pretty much makes a comment on this side of the board. And combat here on the right hand side of my center line was pretty brutal as well. He managed to kill off the rest of those Phoenix Guard, managed to put those guys away finally, and managed to kill about half of those, half of those Lothar Sea Guard as well. My Dryad's concentrated attack on the Lothar Sea Guard by Durthu took care of the Phoenix Guard. However, I lost about half of my Dryads in that unit as well from the combat that was going back and forth from that part. Plus the Battle Shock test was pretty rough as well. So yeah, that makes a pretty much comment on this side of the board as well. Alright, so turn 4, we both roll for initiative on this part. I managed to win the initiative on this part as well, so turn 4 go directly to the Sylvaneth, and this photo is taken after both the command as well as the movement phase in this part as well. As you can see there, I pretty much just start moving most of my forces to finish off whatever's left over. I rearrange my Kurnoth Hunters to start taking pot shots at those 2 bolt throwers. They're located there in the center portion as well. I also move a Crocodile to help support to the Court of Tides, that way they can fight against the Eagle Guard, Lothar, and Sea Guard there in the center of the board. On the left-hand side, I fully commit Durthu and have him move up as close as he can to engage Tyrion as well. I'm planning to finishing off that High Elf Prince once and for all. So that makes it both command as well as movement phase in this photo. All right, here's a close-up of Durthu and Sternbark getting ready to finish off Tyrion located on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, I have Coadil engaging those Eagle Guard, Lothar Sea Guard, so that way they can charge in there as well as finish those guys off as well. So that makes the close-ups on this one. In the shooting phase, you see this picture of my Troop of Dusk basically just wiped out that left-hand repeater bolt thrower. They just managed to kill the crew members on that part as well. It took the combined fire of both the Troop of Twilight as well as the Troop of Dawn to take out the bolt thrower on the right-hand side, so both of those bolt throwers are now DRT. Don't got to worry about those guys ever again as well. And in the combat phase, you see in this photo here, he managed to finish off the rest of those Lothar and Seaguard. They managed to put 2 wounds onto Coadil, which is kind of rough, so that part was kind of sad, but I'll take what I can at this point, so it's not so much of a big deal on that part. So Eagle Guard are now totally gone. And in the end, the fight between Durthu as well as Tyrion was a bloodfest. Tyrion managed to put 3 wounds onto Durthu, which is kind of rough on that part, but Durthu can take damage at this point. There's really not much left over for my enemy's army to face with. And then Durthu just basically curb stomps Tyrion and just gets rid of him once and for all. And we kill the defender of Ulthuan. It's at this point that First Prince Bel-Air basically concedes the game and surrenders that part. The only thing he's got left are those four Lyrian Reavers over there in the center of the portion of the board. Everything else in his army is pretty much dead. He gives up, and that pretty much brings the end of the game. As you can see there, pretty much most of my army is still pretty much standing. The only thing I have missing really is my Court of Seasons as well as my Tree Heralds. So I've got a lot of wounds on a lot of my behemoths, but I'll take what I can get, and that will be a victory on this part. So yeah, with that being done, this battle is now over. We go directly to the after action report.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the after action report. This is the part of the battle report we talk about what went well, what went poorly, what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is after action report for Age of the Realms battle report number 15. 2,000 point battle between myself, Commander Cheapskate, with my Wyld Sylvaneth army versus First Prince Bel-Air of the Silvery Host of Kalador and High Elves army, and it being a victory for yours truly. So let's go and talk about the losses on this part. For the Sylvaneth army, I managed to lose only 2 units, really, the Court of Tides as well as the Court of Heralds. That part was kind of rough. However, for my opponent, he lost Tyrion Teclis, his Archmage, and Elven Steed, 2 units of Silverhelm Knights, 1 unit of Illyrian Reavers, 20 Phoenix Guards, 2 units of Lothern Sea Guards, and 2 repeated Bolt Throwers. And let's go and talk about this army, really what it really wanted for me for this battle. First of all, not dividing up my army really saved me in this battle. In previous battle reports, I usually divide up my forces and kind of maneuver them around, do some kind of interesting kind of movement shenanigans. However, I didn't do it for this one. That basically kind of helped me solidify my strength and kind of focus my fighting power on that part as well. Using the new formations for the Sylvaneth Wildwoods due to FAQ is also working out as well. In the frequently asked questions, you can no longer make your 3 Sylvaneth Wildwoods into one loss of line. All 3 Sylvaneth Wildwoods must be within 1 inch of the other one as well to make it more into a clump. So having it to where you have 2 in a line with 1 behind them was working out pretty good for me as well. I'll still be using that formation for all my Sylvaneth Wildwoods from this point onward, and it's just going to work out for me for the best. Also, I think from this battle report, I also made a mistake on my spell choices. My army is not very magic heavy. I might change that. I might not. I might throw a Branch Rich or a Branch Wraith in there. I'm still kind of debating on that part, but for now, I don't know. I mean, magic is not all that powerful within Age of Sigmar anymore, so I just might just stick with my straight up combat list like I got going on right now. Once again, Kurnoth Greatbows are still the illest things within the army as well. Always going to equip my Kurnoth Hunters with those. Just the amount of damage those guys can do and the amount of firepower they can bring is just wonderful in that part as well. One of the things that's still kind of roughing on this part is the 3 battle line tax still kind of hurts when it comes to list building. They're kind of like your core requirement, just because Dryads eat quite a bit of points. You need quite a few Dryads in order to make them kind of effective, and Heralds are the same way as well. Only having 100 points for 5 Heralds is kind of rough, and at the same time, you don't want to spend that much money on them because not too many points on those guys because you want to put them for other things like Kurnoth Hunters, especially when it comes to my list on this part as well. This battle report is pretty much a grind fest for the fighting part. Most of it took place during the combat phase. Combat phase dominated most of this battle as well. Usually for me, it's the movement phase that does most of my action for me, but this time I just kind of kept my forces concentrated, so it just ended up being like this exhausting kind of combat one after the other until eventually, basically, I won on that part as well. High Elves are still one of the toughest armies out there, especially with the Age of Sigmar. Those guys do not break on battle shock tests. Their increases in bravery, their command ability just make them very difficult to break. So because of that, you have to kill them for the last man, unfortunately, and that's just the way it is when it comes to this. For the future for these battle reports, I'm thinking about changing it up a little bit for these bat reps instead of just doing straight up battle line from now on. With actually my gaming group and I are actually thinking about doing some scenarios going forward to see basically how that works and making it for a good challenge in that part and make battles kind of interesting. However, if I decide to do that, I might have to drop down to 1,000 points in order to do those battle reports, and just because, like I said before in previous videos, not many of my friends within my gaming group like to do Age of Sigmar. They like to do 9th Age or Warhammer 8th Edition or Necromunda. So fighting games is kind of harder for me to do, so I might have to drop down points in order to get those kind of games, to get that kind of commitment from our friends. So we'll see what happens on that part. The future's still undecided. Once again, this was a great game. It was a great opponent. Looking forward to the next one. Please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input in the back and forth are making these battle reports better every single day. And once again, just one more time, thank you again to the Warhammer YouTube community out there for nominating me for my 3 nominations for the 2016 Warhammer YouTuber Awards. I'm just like beyond honored again. I just can't get over that. That's just too freaking awesome in my opinion. So once again, thank you for those nominations. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. This was Battle Report number 15 for the Age of the Realms. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Until that day, you guys stay classy. Keep on saving money and making game.